G'day and welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to put together a video, all the one shoot, but we're doing quite a few bits and pieces in it. The core of it all was we were doing once again out around 2,000 yards with a 308 to try and capture a bullet in the way of an image of a bullet travelling through the air. It sort of worked. We got what we wanted, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. We actually can see the footage, we can see how this bullet was travelling, fair bit of information to go with that. It wasn't perfect. We hit the plate 3 times, we only captured one of the images, so the system still needs a bit of refining. The trigger capture was being a little bit silly, but we did manage to get one of them. So if you can bear with us at the end of the video or fast forward to the end of the video, we've got some footage there and I can go through and show, and I'll explain that. But what we were taking the opportunity to do was a couple of other things. One was shooting with this new chassis from MDT. Now this is the new ACC Chassis, which is a chassis that is designed for competition shooting, really down the PRC sort of, or the precision rifle series sort of, PRS I should say, the precision rifle series sort of competition. Designed with a few bits and pieces in mind, and I haven't spoken to the designers about it. They've sent it to have a look. I've had a look at a few videos about it, but I'm also looking at what I've got, what I've been presented with, and understand what it was designed for. And listen, at a quick, simple overview, I like it. It's a nice chassis, it works really well. I'll go through the other bits and pieces, we'll go step by step. The other one that's coming up in the middle of the video, which I'll bring Sam in to talk about, is a spotting scope system that I've tried using a good rifle scope, and we'll get into that in a little bit. First off, this rifle. It's just set up in, this is the Remington 700 Police Special, so it's just a 1 in 10 twist, 26-inch barrel, got my muzzle brake on it, it's got my normal roving scope that goes on all sorts of things, the Night Force Attacker. It's got a Kelvin elect trigger in it, and then everything bar the bipod is what comes from MDT. It is their ACC chassis. That's probably the special feature. There's a couple of special features about this, which I'll finish off with. First off, they've upgraded, they've gone another level with their skeleton stock, with their butt stock I should say. It's all very similar to the ones previously, but it's got further upgrades with it. So having lock knobs on both ends, and shafts on both ends on both shafts, on both the adjustable butt pad and the cheek rest, means it is solid. It can lock up solid with just simple turn screws. You can replace these with Allen keys, little grub screws. It means you can lock it up tight and don't need to mess with it. You can leave it there, but you can just leave it like this, where you can screw it down or undo it and be able to make it so that it locks up nicely and adjustable when you want to. We in WA aren't really allowed to run, or aren't legally allowed to run the folding butt stock, but they have the folding butt stock for all places that are allowed to run it. They also have the fixed one, locks up nicely in the folding form. We're running the fixed one, and it is a super solid feeling chassis. Another feature they've done, they've made adjustable, is the butt pad adjustment is also nice and controlled in its elevation, and moving it up and down, and a simple thumb screw once again to be able to lock it up. So a really nice feature, nice and strong. And now they've got what they were looking at doing, they have actually done it, their bag rider. So it's a proper little machine bag rider, very nicely machined, quite small, and it's going to keep out of your road. The one we do to go on here will bolt on here as well. It's a little bit bigger. This is a little more refined, a little smaller, and it comes with a whole system, so it's a great idea and works really well. They've also got on here their straight pistol grip, which, as if you notice, there's 3 screws down the side. That means that you can actually move that and slightly tune that around. Really, I don't mind either way. I don't find a lot of difference in either side for the way my hand shoots, and Sam found the same thing. It's a very broad pistol grip, so nice, especially if you're holding up in a PRS sort of style, when you're holding up on a barricade or something or other. Being able to get your hand down rather than up on a normal angle is going to be a nice feature, so I think it'll work well for that. Not really a big deal for us in the prone shooting, but still a nice pistol grip, work nicely. The big features really are up the front here. They have, and the way I've set this one up, they have a whole heap of weight. You can really make these things heavy rifles. Right now what you're looking at is 20 pounds. This weighs like 9.2 kilos in its fully dressed form like you're looking at here. Now it's got the big 5R bipod on it, it's got my night force, it's got my adjustable base and bits and pieces on it, so there's a bit of weight on that. But what it does have inside here, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steel weights that are bolted inside here and make it invisible inside there, that have added a decent amount of weight. You can look on their site and see what the weights are worth, but you can really tune it by quite a bit. There's quite a few pounds of weight you can put into the rifle by doing that. They also have weights we can put on the side of these, so you can run extra weights down both sides and really end up with a super heavy rifle. For super precision, for F class, for that side of things, you know, in some fashions just getting heavier and heavier can help, can make things a little better. I tend to find at a point you've got them to as heavy as they need to be and as functional, and I'm probably running this a little bit heavier than I normally would for a 308. You know, a 308 I'm normally going to find is a nice spot, is somewhere between 15 and 18 pounds is a heavy precision rifle. Not so much hunting, but more as a precision rifle side of things, the weight I like to find. So at 20 pounds I'm a little bit over that, but listen, it's not unpleasant at that sort of level, and you could go further. I tend to feel you're starting to weighing it down even further, you're not getting any gains and you're making it harder to work with, but it depends on the caliber you're working with. Obviously a harder punch, hitting harder, that sort of stuff, and if you find the accuracy, why not? But the design of this is that it has the choice. You really can weight it up or weight it back to where you want it to be. The other thing I found with it in this chassis side of things is it's very rigid. Even though it's an open top chassis, so it's only a tube, or it's only a rail underneath here, it's very rigid, really, really nice. And that's where I'd move into the other, probably most notable feature, is they have underneath here the Really Right Stuff sort of rails. So you have what I've done, and there's some choices. You can mount Picatinny rails on the bottom and mount it up like a normal, and make normal mounts for bipods or tripods or whatever you're running on the front, that you can do that sort of stuff. Because they had this Really Right Stuff rail here, which is what I've mounted to this 5R bipod. Now I should, fair warning, that is not something that is simple to do. Really more designed to run that bipod mount and then a normal Atlas bipod underneath, but I, with a little bit of machining down the knob, managed to make and this isn't about the rifle, this is about the Really Right Stuff mount and the Atlas 5R, but managed to make them work together. The really nice feature about these is this feature here. You can change your position depending on the stance you're looking for, depending on the platform you're shooting over. You can change the position like that. So you really can move it around from extremely long platform for the most stable you can possibly get, to up to, you've only got a short platform to shoot with and you still want to try and pull it off, to right up here, so you can really move it around. I moved it to the position which I was happy with. Then simply the way that clamp works, I got a little thumb screw over here I lock up, and then I'm back to where that's operating nicely. That's probably a little bit back from where I was, about there is probably where I'd like to have it. It is a very long front end to the rifle, which gives you all that choice in the way of moving it. It does mean the likes of my bipod system isn't going to mount on here without being right out the front. And like I said, you can just put Picatinny rails on the bottom, run a normal Atlas or a normal, set it up to run a normal Harris bipod or all the other types of bipods. Because it has this Really Right Stuff rail, I wanted to mount something like that. And the 5R is a nice, big, stable, you know, wide, full-bodied bipod. I'll hopefully show you a quick view from the front. So it is a nice, big, wide bipod, so give it lots of stability. Beyond that, they've got a nice rail at the front here where the magazine goes. They've got a wide feed for the, push that the right direction, for the magazine, so that goes in a nice and neat and tidy in there, so easy to put in for fast changes in your PRS style things. Ambidextrous magazine release, really nicely machined. They've got these little lugs on the side here. That would be for so you can have your 2 spare for your PRS side of things, in the way where you mount your bullets on the side there, so you've got a couple to make sure you finish the stage if you haven't done quite what you wanted to do. Everything about it, I should say, thumb rest are up here for people who want to do that side of things. Machined really nicely, nice tough finish to it. The main thing I would honestly say in shooting it, it felt really rigid. Something I really like to feel in a rifle stock is when I was actually having to adjust it and move it, that it felt really rigid. It is just a 308, but it is a 308. It's not anything less than that. Reasonable rounds, reasonable loads, 175 grain bullets, and it shot super consistently. Anyway, that's what we're using. We set up our target, added a nice place to get some shooting done. There happened to be, as you'll see in this video, a machine that was safe, but it was broken down not far away, which was very convenient, or not convenient, but it's far enough out of our road where we didn't have to worry about it. No people involved, but the machine was stuck there on that runway. But that's how we started our shoot, with our camera system set up to see if we could capture some footage of the bullet traveling through the air. So anyway, I'll let you go and see this. I should say there's also, Sam got to have a couple of shots with this thing. So, but have a look at this footage now as to how it actually went with shooting at that target at 1975 yards with a 308 in this MDT, or it's a Remington 700 Police Special 308 in this MDT ACC Chassis. 1975 on the measuring tape app. $19.76. Okay.
It's close.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see where this goes. I'm guessing on the wind.
Rightio.
Hardly moved. Felt really good.
Left. 9 o'clock. Good height. 4 targets left.
Left. Dialed in too much wind.
Okay.
I set it up on 12 minutes wind.
Okay.
But it's a bit hard to read the stuff in between, isn't it?
Yeah.
But good height. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's right on the dial. What I'd expect out of this ammo and this rifle. That day.
Left. 4 targets left. 9 o'clock.
Okay, something like that. I only moved it halfway.
Okay.
Let's see what we get. It's a bit strange, but
Yeah.
anyway, get that.
The wind flag at target straight out now.
Yeah, but there's a lot more wind
Yeah,
there than there is in the mid-range.
I think. Left. 1 target left. Level with the base of the bottom edge.
Okay, oh, I've come back a long way in the wind.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back to 3 minutes of wind. I wouldn't believe that. There must be some opposite wind happening to
Must be. Yeah.
get that result out there.
Right, yeah. 1 o'clock,
that
1
might
target right.
That looked like it was too high, didn't it?
Yeah. Look, the wind's just changed right around, the direction. That's not going to help us.
Okay, oh well. We won't just burn rounds, we'll see if we can get it on with
Okay.
a
bit of
Hit on plate. Beautiful, nice and central at the top, 2 inches top edge.
wow. Hit on plate.
Yeah.
Let that do its record,
Okay.
and then we'll see if we can hit it again.
Okay, mate. I might go to the other scope then.
Okay, yep,
Okay. I'll put my lens caps on here.
yep. Yeah, I hope that's long enough.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll try the same shot.
Okay.
The conditions are going to change, of course,
Of course, yeah.
but see what that lob.
Tall and right. Yeah.
Wow,
There's that wind change.
wow. That's like another planet, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. Holy cow.
Try and correct for that.
Oh, just off left edge. 9 o'clock.
I held all that way different.
Did you?
That dialing I held, and look how much it missed by.
Yeah, okay.
So who knows, this is going to be random.
Yeah, okay.
But let's just go. That was left edge, you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon. Oh, just off left edge. 9 o'clock.
That's a little. Feel the wind here. I don't know how we can do anything at all.
I know.
Left edge, left edge. Okay, come back and shoot right. Might not.
Hit on plate, bottom left corner.
Oh, perfect.
Yay. Awesome. 2 hits
Oh.
on, light went off.
Well, that is shooting super nice.
Yeah, okay.
Well, maybe you have a couple of shots and I'll lay down behind that.
Rightio.
You're going to, at the moment, oh goodness, it's really hard to say. I'll try and dial for it. It's just changing all the time. I reckon it's
Okay.
going to go, but it's still shooting too far.
You ready?
Yep.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see anything either. So you're holding dead center on.
Okay.
It might have dropped just behind.
Yeah, okay. Let's see how,
Hold the reticle on the bottom edge.
okay. See how this goes.
Hit.
Oh, it's 6 o'clock.
Just like that, beautiful.
That's exactly where I
There you go, on, just like that.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, we got.
Don't know where the first one went.
No, neither do I.
Well, you do one more shot, we'll let it settle again and do one more shot.
Rightio.
So, same shot.
Yep.
Oh, just over the top.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, well you can see how all that went. That shot really well, really happy with the rifle. Was super consistent, super strong, like I said, nice rigid feel to it. For just a factory police special, that shot super consistent out there. As you see, I was doing a bit of trying to figure out what was going on with the wind, and that worked for what I dialed in for Sam. She managed to hold on and hit the plate, so that's really very consistent what she's doing, but real testament to how accurate that's all working for just a factory rifle in a good chassis, making it work really well. But okay, this is the focus of the next point of the conversation. This is the March. This is the March. It's the High Master, which is a 10 to 60 power by 56 MOA second focal plane rifle scope. Something that I've been meaning to get on a rifle and do some shooting with. I've looked through. Listen, it's a really good scope in lots of fashions. Lots of power, very high quality glass, very fine reticle, very fine simple reticle, so all things that I really like. The only drawback it's got from my normal ELR stuff is the fact that it's just 60 minutes of internal elevation. But that's all answerable, like I did a video a little while ago about putting on a adjustable base for that side of things. But also I'm time poor and trying to get things to go and have a shoot and that sort of stuff. I haven't got around to it. Got to look at it, but I haven't managed to do a video with it yet, simply because I haven't managed to organise myself, or find the time, I should say. But it came up with an opportunity which I could see was coming. As you saw, it was windy there. It was stuff that was the type of conditions where it gets really hard for the spotter to be able to see things. Where I'm able to see a little better because I'm nice and stable, hard for the spotter. I've looked at things and built weights and bits and pieces to make the spotting scope more stable. But I really, when I stopped and thought about it, really felt I was pushing the proverbial uphill. What I came up with, which is what you saw there, was this. Now, it isn't anything it isn't anything in any real sense other than the fact it's a rifle stock. Any rifle stock would do. I have this one I want to do a little bit of a look at over in the coming months, which is the KRG, the Bravo stock. This is actually for a Hauer. I got myself just a Hauer receiver, no bolt, just a receiver, so that made it nice and simple. I could bolt it down and put a rail on top of it. Actually, it's a little bit more than that. I actually made a, if you look inside here, there's a stainless steel rod, and on the bottom I have just clamped on bottom, so it's not damaging anything, it just screws through to there, is a plate where I could actually mount a tripod mount on the bottom of it. I haven't tried to do that yet, don't know if that's needed, but that was so I could mount on a tripod. But what I did do is simply put on a rail on the back of it and put on the monopod on the back and something I'm not that much of a fan for shooting, as you probably already know, but was going to work perfectly with a bipod on the front to be able to put these two together. So those two together, and then essentially give Sam a spotting platform that she could lay down the prone position and be able to, familiar in the way of it's a rifle platform, but it's not a rifle. Not concerned that it's behind me, that sort of stuff. There's no barrel, there's no trigger, there's no nothing else. It is just a platform to build and use a good power scope. Anyway, listen, I'll get Sam to come up here now and give a little talk about what she found in using this setup.
Hi everybody, Sam here. I'm going to talk to you today about this spotting scope setup that Mark's put together for me. Got to use it today and it worked really well. We started off the day with my Night Force spotting scope in a sitting position as I normally am. Love the Night Force scope, it works really well and it's a good setup. But when the high wind comes up and I get vibration through the scope, it makes it hard to see. We have taken some measures to help with vibration, which is weights for the tripod, and also putting my hands carefully onto the scope body, but when the high wind comes up it's really hard to combat that. So I went down behind this one and it worked really well. I didn't get any vibration from the wind, very stable platform, and actually quite relaxing in the sense that when the wind, I'm feeling the vibration from the wind with my scope sitting up in the wind, and then get a buffet, I'm counting for my time of flight, and then get a buffet out of the blue on the impact and I don't see. Didn't get that at all with this situation. It was great, it worked really well.
Yeah, listen, the design is, as said, it's to sit down using the normal stability, which for those that are used to this sort of thing, the person on the rifle, I should say, the person on the rifle might not have the vision of, I might be shooting at 15 power, where Sam will be using a spotting scope at 20 to 30 to 40 to 60 power, somewhere up there. So she'll have better vision, but that actually starts to, because up in the air, but also with the higher power, little vibrations become bigger blurs, becomes really hard for us. So we've tried things. The only thing we could go further in the way of blocking that sort of vibration would be building, as some people have suggested, build a tent around yourself and that side of stuff, which is we try not to be changing the world like that. We try and we want a simple setup that we can get over and done with quickly. So it really came to my mind that I think this is a concept in the beginning, I suppose I should say. Ultimately, I can see that you should be able to build a very high quality scope without turrets and things. You don't need to adjust it all, so it should cut the cost down of the scope, have very good glass, you know, whether that's shot glass or German shot glass or whatever it is, but good quality Japanese or German or whatever it is glass. So you've got high levels of glass with good magnification control and good focus control, but you don't need reticles, you don't need the erector tube and things inside there to be able to, because it's not a rifle scope. Set up in a simple system, probably go with a custom stock and custom bits and pieces to suit what you're actually doing, but ending up with the same platform. So that's the concept. I should qualify all that. I'm using this scope because it's a great scope. Doesn't mean you'd need to use a March scope. I'm sure March would have no troubles about selling you them to do that, but it doesn't need to be a March scope, you know, whether it was a Night Force scope or it's a Smith & Bender scope or it's a Schwarzschild scope or it's a whatever it is. Of all the different brands in the world, it doesn't matter at all what I'm talking about there, and it's in windy conditions you'll find that you're backing power off anyway, so monstrous power wouldn't be the needed thing to really help. And I'm sure some people who are struggling in those conditions have a second scope and an old stock, and they could put this together. The receiver, you could probably even just get someone to spin one up in the likes of the Remingtons and things like that. But the main concept of the whole idea is this is the beginning place, with the thought of maybe a few of the big scope guys making something that can do this, and maybe even some of the stock people making that type of thing, so you can bolt together a decent powered spotting scope that you can use from the prone position or the tripod position, and that's what I made this mount for, to be able to set it up in the tripod. Really the preliminary testing we've done on it said that you don't have as much stability as you do normally sitting down, and Sam and anyone using a spotting scope, whether you're sitting or standing and it's just sitting by itself and very holding and putting your eye over the top, is more stable than trying to use a tripod like when you're rifle shooting. You need to sort of preload to try and make them stable, hard to use like that. But in this prone position, well, especially when you set up, you can adjust it, you can take yourself off it and back on it, and it's dead on. So it really becomes quite easy. And you can also stabilize things in the normal fashion. You'll be using a little bit of cheek pressure on a cheek rest to get yourself comfortable, whatever suits you. And certainly that's what that was the concept, and that's what we found. So anyway, that was that's the next level of the video, the next piece to use in the video. Now what we're really up to, and what some have been waiting for, how we go with that bullet image capture. Okay, well, it worked. We got our first real shot of doing our bullet image capture. Didn't work perfectly. There's something going on with the trigger, it's been a bit of that. I've been fixing up this and fixing up that and making it better and improving it and understanding it, all the rest of it, bits and quirks and things like that. What we're doing is we're using a system sent to us by a gentleman over in America, which was Will Ott. He sent us a light system for capturing for when you hit the target. We used it a little bit, we haven't used it a lot, we've got some other systems, but it's been sitting there, we've got that system. So it was one of the early systems designed to pick up the impact of the bullet hitting the target, and then flash an LED so you could see it. And what that system used was a old style system for an automatic flash, or for remote flashes. It would sit on top of a single reflex camera. It would pick up the vibration of the single reflex happening in the camera, and that would then fire the flash. So it was all timed that way. What that's been converted to is the bit that picks up the shutter action, was velcroed to the back of the target, so when you hit it, it triggers. And I used that system, which flashes that light, which you can see in those images there. So there's a light that flashes as well. But then I hooked into the relay system there to run what's called end frame on a little Sony camera. Now I'll list the little Sony camera. The little Sony camera, it isn't awesome. It's not a 10,000 frame per second or 100,000 frame per second camera, so it's only running at 1,000 frame per second, but it is running at 1,000 frame, and it has a shutter speed and all the processes needed to capture an image. So not awesome. We could certainly spend $5,000, $10,000 or $40,000 and do better, but we're doing with what we can. What should happen is that end frame system means that when it triggers, it then goes back and looks at 2 seconds or half a second, I think, prior to the trigger to 2 seconds after the trigger. So you capture the just before to afterwards. It does that, takes 2 minutes to actually go through the programming and to record all that sort of stuff, so it keeps the information in a buffer, then records it all and then starts again. So you got to wait 2 minutes between shots. And that's why you see us wait, even though I've just flashed to the next shot. We waited 3 minutes, fired again, and the wind had changed quite a bit. It's probably one of the bigger wind changes, and saw how far that bullet landed differently. That was that waiting over the wind change waiting for the camera. The problem we had, and we were lucky, because the first 2 shots that I shot and I hit, it didn't capture. It actually captured from just after that. Something was going on. I think it was actually triggering twice when it was hit. And it was the first or the second trigger was interrupting the first trigger, so it was capturing from, looks like, a tenth of a second or so after the impact. So the bullet, it was already gone back, the bullet had already gone past, and we weren't able to see it. So first 2 images we looked at were, damn, that didn't work. The last one, which is Sam shot at 6 o'clock. And that Sam shot that did this, so maybe it's just Sam did it right and I did it wrong, but anyway, the last one came through, and you can actually see it worked like it's supposed to. It triggered when it was supposed to, and it captures that half a second beforehand. And if you look at it, I'll just play it so I can actually, and you can see it while I'm talking. See this first image, you can actually see there's a little flash down the bottom corner there just then, which is the bullet going through it, right hand bottom corner. I've highlighted it here, slowed it down a little bit so you can see those 2 images, those 2 frames that actually capture it. Here's that enlarged, first frame, second frame, where you could actually see it. And we go again, now there it is still, that's captured. Now improve that image so you can see that bullet flight. There's where it actually was travelling, that's the bullet. That's the second image, second frame. Once again, I improved that image so you can see it was travelling. Now I've actually joined the 2 frames together so you can actually see the line where they're travelling, and there's a line you can see I've drawn through there. Now that line shows that I think we've got a tiny bit of yaw, not much yaw. So compared to what I saw last time I did this, different rifle, same bullet, different rifle, and I don't know all the conditions, I'd have to say, but you can see that looks like there's a tiny bit of yaw that we're actually running with. So we're going to have to see. The last time I did this and captured anything with this, which was actually 2,000 yards with the 308, was my old SVF, or the stainless 308. The difference, which is Remington 700, all the action, all that sort of stuff, the same except for the stainless, except for it's a 1 in 12 twist. This one is a police special, it's a 1 in 10 twist. Now I would have thought more spin would have created the yaw in the bullet to stay there more. I would have thought that would have kept it from, and kept it travelling longer with a higher rotation rate. That may be the case, but previously what I saw, it looked like the bullet travelled through with yaw, so it wasn't travelling as this one is largely, tail after nose or straight in line. Rather than, and basically in line is where the bullet's going like this. Yaw is when the bullet goes like this, is what I'm actually talking about. Whether that's correct terminology or not, that's what I'm talking about, when the bullet just actually comes down like that, travelling like a torpedo in a football world. But what I found then was the way it went through the pine we were talking about then looked like it was travelling with yaw. That was a 1 in 10 twist barrel. A 1 in 12 twist barrel. This is 1 in 10 and it's travelling in line. So yes, I've got other things I want to test. I want to test the 30 cal and the 230 grain out at once it's gone to a similar speed, see where it's travelling. I will periodically do this. Fair bit to set up, a little bit I've got to do to refine things to make it work more consistently. But that, I suppose, long story short, I still have stuff to find out. There's our first real image of, not awesome, I'll grant you, but as good as what we can manage in the light we had and that side of things. And we've got stuff to improve, don't get me wrong. But that bullet is actually travelling. We've got a couple of frames of the bullet travelling at 2,000 and, well, about 2,074 yards from where it was fired, out of a 308 and the 1 in 10 twist, and there it is actually travelling pretty much inline. So ultimately we get some help with this process, or win lotto, rob a bank, whatever it takes, to get a bullet, to get a camera that can do better. Ultimately I would like to be able to capture not only the bullet's flight position, but in fine enough detail and enough resolution with enough frames to be able to see what spin it's actually retaining out there, to actually find out exactly how much spin is travelling out there. And what I should qualify there is that a lot of people would presume that the bullet slowed down, so the spin has slowed down, because, well, there's actually no reason for that. The truth of it is the bullet is spinning at a set rate, and its inertia, there's not much stopping it from spinning. So it's spinning, it's not rubbing on anything, it's just sitting in the air. More of the air there is air dragging across it, but in theory, well, there is a reasonable theory to say that the bullet is still spinning as fast as it was when it left the barrel. Even though it's losing inertia through its travelling, its actual rotation speed doesn't go faster or slower as the bullet goes faster or slower. It speeds up to where the rifling has got it spinning at that level versus the speed it leaves the barrel, and then it stays spinning at that speed right through till it hits the target. Or it probably will be a little bit reduced, but it's certainly not going to be to the same percentage of the speed of the travel of the bullet. Anyway, enough confusing everybody with what I'm trying to say there. That's ultimately what I'd like to get to. But there's our first image of that. So recap of the day, the ACC chassis, the new MDT chassis. Awesome, worked really nicely. I'll put some images on to go with that. I'll do some more talking about it later on. I want to shoot with it some more, but I really like it. It's a really nice piece, and I suppose I'm coming from the ELR world. It's I would think going to work really well for the precision rifle guys, but it's going to work well for the ELR guys as well. Really nice rigid rifle, rigid stock, or rigid chassis. So I really like it on that score. The March scope, really nice scope, really like it. I'm using it in a place where I'm after a better than average rifle scope by a long shot. I'm after a high quality rifle scope to do the job of a spotting scope. And don't want to take anything away from the likes of the knife or spotting scope. Awesome scope, and really to a degree, if I could mount that down somehow or other without monstering it, then that would be nice. But that inline thing and getting the rifle position to get your body form and that sort of stuff, a very natural place. In that setup worked well, and my little spotter, yeah, you know, she said she was relaxed. She was, you know, it was from the stress that, and you feel the pressure and that type of thing of dealing with that buffeting wind, and I haven't been able to engineer a sound way around it, short of building a little teepee. This really answered that, so it's something that in some form or other I want to end up with in the kit, so when you're dealing with high pressure, when you're dealing with high wind that you didn't know you're going to have or did know you're going to have, is we've got a way around that. So the other spotting scope is better for position and for other things, but for dealing with wind, that really, you know, that really did the job well. And for our little our bullet capture, our video side of things, or capturing an image there, we've actually managed to do it. Not awesome yet, but there's some real image, and we've started down the path of doing a little bit more understanding. A lot more testing to do, and different spins and different weights and different, you know, lots and lots of things to do. But there, we've got a bit of image there, and we've started. So anyway, guys, I hope that was worth something to you.
Thanks for watching.
And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Down below here we've got a link to our web store where we have some of the specialised long-range shooting products that we actually produce. Check them out.
And for those of you who can, it'd be great to get some help. In our store we have support bits, and when you purchase those, the money goes direct to our channel and helps us bring these videos to you.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.